Hey, welcome everybody to season 2 of the 7 Minutes to Better Selling podcast. I'm your host, Colin Lake.
I'm so excited to introduce our first second-time guest of the show after two long seasons and 50-plus shows. We have Scott Crossan joining us. Scott Crossan is a brand expert. He has an amazing history behind him in terms of developing all of these things that make him a brand expert. And Scott and I have a long, storied history together, doing some wonderful things from like professional to spiritual to life's toughest moments to life's best moments together. So I've known Scott for better part of 3 decades, and welcome, Scott Crossan.
Good morning, Colin. And because you know me so well, that's why you have a sneaky suspicion that we may run long. Is that correct?
That is exactly right. Maybe.
Hi, buddy.
That is so true. It's so good to have you back, Scott. And I said on LinkedIn and some of the other social platforms, literally backed by popular demand, people want to hear more from you. And, it's because they love your handsome face. But more so than that, Scott, it's because of the stuff you were talking about as it relates to creating a brand.
Yeah.
And so it's stuff that's near and dear to my heart, something we train on a lot. So I'm really excited to get into this conversation. So, Scott, if you will, maybe in like a 2 minutes, just give people a reminder of who you are and how you get to this lofty position as a brand expert, where organizations and individuals all over the world look to you to help them create their right brand.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Colin. Always thrilled to be with you, buddy, both personally and professionally. My background primarily was with a company called QVC. I spent over 20 years at QVC at a time when it was continuously evolving from a traditional home shopping channel and all the stigma attached to that, negative stigma attached to that, into one of the world's largest video and e-commerce retailers and a $10+ billion business globally. So I kind of went along for that ride, if you will. Part of my job, along with my team, was the branding, addressing the stigma of the QVC brand, as well as that being QVC being an umbrella brand, being a retailer that sells lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of other brands and partners with lots of other brands. So I was responsible for how we position every brand within our brand umbrella.
Scott, let me just see if I distill this and see what
Yes.
type of thoughts it inspires from you.
Yeah.
So you had the responsibility of helping further and future and create the QVC brand.
Yeah.
And within that, you had to build your own brand of, your brand in that corporation.
Right.
And then also help all of these different businesses who are trying to sell their products on QVC improve their branding. Like you've had it from like 3 different angles, all at the same time.
Yeah.
Am I hearing that right?
You are. And I didn't realize it at the time. I wish if there are a few things you could go back in time and, just be equipped with from a knowledge perspective, this is one of them. I didn't realize that there was such a thing as my personal brand. So I was so focused on my company's brand and trying to develop that, elevate that, as well as our client or customer or partner brands. I was focused on that as well. Really wasn't focused on my personal brand. At some point, you learn from others, and you're blessed with great leaders, and you're blessed with great mentors. And eventually, I learned and figured it out that is just as important as any. There are so many folks to this day, Colin, friends, colleagues, former partners who are absolutely brilliant brand marketing minds who do amazing things for their respective brands, but do not recognize or at least invest in their own personal brand. So that, if anything, if there's one takeaway from today, I would hope to encourage others to recognize that whether you like it or not, you have a personal brand, and B, be intentional about it. Invest in it, because it can take you to places that you've never been.
Scott, I'm going to give you kind of like a story. So one of the folks we coach is a financial advisor, and he's on LinkedIn. In fact, he has 500 plus connections on LinkedIn. So you'd suggest maybe he's somewhat active. On his profile, he doesn't have a picture. So it's like one of those like silhouettes.
Yeah.
And I said to him, so your brand to the person who happens to look at your page is that you don't care too much about this platform or care too much for this platform. He said, that's not true. I like LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn's really valuable. I said, well, that's probably not what they think. If it's not what all 500 plus think, it's certainly what some of the 500 plus think, because I know that's my first thought. Yeah.
That's so common. And it doesn't need to be that way. Too many of us look at personal branding as in a negative connotation. Some of us view personal branding as self-serving or even egotistical or just fluff, right? I am who I am, and my clients and my colleagues, they know who I am. Some do, some don't, for sure, especially when it comes to becoming more engaging and relevant to new people, new audiences, new customers, new clients. I liken it, Colin, how that perception on personal branding to, it's the same reason why we didn't raise our hand in class. Number one, we don't want to look stupid, right? Number two, we do not feel comfortable putting ourselves out there. And we don't want to be viewed as a show off or a know-it-all, right? And that's really not what it's about. I understand that negative connotation, but that's really not what it's about. Back to your example. Putting a profile pic on my LinkedIn page. I understand that it may be outside my comfort level to put myself out there like that, but you need to look at it from the perspective of your best future client, your best future partner, your best future customer. Wouldn't they be more inclined to have a comfort level with establishing a connection with you if you are expressing yourself in a personal, authentic way? Like, that's how you need to look at it, not from a self-serving standpoint, but what will help your personal brand resonate in the eyes and hearts and minds of your audience.
Boy, that's a power statement there. Like that was going to stay in there, Simon. So remember that when we're editing. Last word, and then how do they get in touch with you? How do they find Scott Crossan?
I would be delighted to connect with anyone for sure on this topic, on any topic, by way of LinkedIn. All my contact information's there. That's the easiest way to connect with me.
Yeah, there's Scott's LinkedIn. I would recommend it. I mean, this guy is so good at what he does. He's so thoughtful with the questions he asks and helping you decide or determine those things and help you decide the right actions to forward your brand. So, Scott Crossan, thank you, and good selling, everyone.
Good selling, Colin.